Real Peace, brought to you by Kwabi&thePeaceCampaign, is a podcast dedicated to discovering ways in which everyday people can learn about community, seek understanding of self and others, and gain tolerance on opinions they might not agree with. How do we learn to live together? How do we learn to love each other? These questions and much, much more we'll attempt to answer only on Real Peace. I'm your host, Kwabi, and I'm a peace campaigner. Behind the camera is our producer, Kevin Wilford, and without him, none of this would be possible. And today, we're going to be talking about something that's very immense, I feel, community. So I want to break it up into three different facets, one being community within our city, another one being community within our country, and then the global community. And so I want to talk about how we can build community and all those different degrees. And today I got two awesome, amazing, fantastic guests to help me hash out this question. My first guest is Alex Shower, who is a traveler, world traveler, globetrotter, adventurer, amazing, cool person. Nice to have you on the show, Alex.
Thanks, Kwabi.
And my second guest is Apalila Evans, who is the closest thing to a sister to me. And she's an educator and very involved in the community of Tacoma. How's it going, guys?
It's good, man. Thanks
Great.
for having us.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad you're on my show. So, Apple, recently this
Yes.
summer, you were involved in some sort of educating with at-risk youth. Is that correct?
Yes.
Can you explain, give me a little synopsis of that? Yeah.
Yeah, so it's at UW Tacoma, and it's a math science leadership program. So it's basically like a STEM camp for kids. And we target kids who are of color, kids who are underprivileged, and girls.
How long is the program?
The program is 4 weeks.
Dang, that's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. So,
Yeah.
Who told you about the program? You just were like, I'm in it, or what? How did you get involved with this?
Well, Eric actually did it
husband,
7
okay.
years ago. Yeah, my
Okay.
husband. He did it 7 years ago, and then I was like, man, I want to work this summer. And he just had so much fun doing it that I wanted to do it. So
Okay.
I applied and got hired.
And was it fun?
Yeah,
Okay.
it was fun.
Okay.
It
You
was
felt
super
like
fun.
rewarded and all these things?
Yeah, it was really, really good. It was really cool.
Okay. And okay, that's cool. I wanted to first of all talk to you, Alex, before we start, going and looking at the different facets of community. I want to talk to you about a scenario you talked to me about a couple nights ago when we were hanging out. You said that you ran into Kim Jong-Un. Can you explain to our viewers at home what happened, how that happened?
All right. So I was recently on doing some traveling, and I was in Singapore, and it happened to be at the same time during the Trump-Kim summit. And so we decided that we wanted to kind of check out. I was with my girlfriend at the time, and we were trying to kind of figure out, where the action was. So we went to the Shangri-La. That's where Trump had been staying at. And nothing was really going on. We went to the hotel lobby and just got a drink and we're chilling. And so we decided I wonder if we can go see what's up with Kim Jong-Un, see what's going on over there.
Okay.
So we went to the St. Regis where he was staying, and security was just insane. There was a block away, everything was cordoned off,
That's crazy.
huge machine guns, everyone's you
Machine
can't get
gun.
much machine guns, yeah, Singaporean police. It was no joke. And so they wouldn't let anyone in unless you were staying there.
Okay.
And so girl I was with, she decided to book us a room there. So she showed us, she went on Expedia and was like, hey, we've got a room. And so they let us through. So we walk in, and before we even get to the front door, there's TSA style security where they've got they scan all of our bags, they give us pat downs, it was insane. And so there's the Singaporean police were doing it. Meanwhile, they were being overseen by North Korean Secret Service, which was
That's intense,
it was
Alex.
super intense. Yeah. So we get in the lobby and everything's all crazy intense. And the day that he arrived, we actually weren't even able to see him. They shut down all the elevators. We were on one of the higher floors. And
Okay.
so we stayed there a few more nights and finally came to the day of the summit. And we're all right, it's now or never, because he's probably going to leave after. So we just kind of camp out in the lobby all morning, and we kind of figured that he had already left, because
you
it
were
was
talking about that.
it was 7 or something in the morning, or it had, it just seemed like he was gone because everything was super quiet. But it started to build up and build up and build up, and then finally they start kind of bringing out the stanchions, and so we did see him, and he was probably about 20 feet in front of us, but between us and him was the hotel staff, Singaporean police, and then North Korean Secret Service. So it was pretty crazy. So he walked right by, and he didn't even acknowledge us.
What was the disposition of his face? What did that? What the
Probably just like focused more than anything. I think he was just like, he was going to go meet with an American president, something like his whole, lineage had wanted to do. Yeah, I don't know. He just seemed very like he didn't really care about us at all, which is fine. I mean, that's kind of par for the course, right? I mean,
and then you got to you talked with, or you like engaged with one of their Secret Service dudes.
Yeah. So seeing Kim Jong-Un was somewhat anticlimactic. It was cool to see the guy, but it was somewhat like anticlimactic. The cool part was while we were staying there for a few days, trying to see him, we were having all these like cool interactions with the North Korean Secret Service, like kind of like almost finding the humanity in a way. Like most of them didn't speak English, and we didn't speak Korean, so like we would kind of like find each other's like in the elevator or something like that, and like I said, the girl I was with, she was in the elevator, and one of the guys was trying to go to the top floor where Kim was, and he like couldn't figure out how to like do the elevator. It was like there was a special combination way to do it, so she kind of helped him, and they kind of laughed about it, and
that's like, just amazing
to like share laughter with a North Korean Secret Service agent. It was kind of interesting.
That's surreal, man.
And then my claim to fame was one night in the elevator as well, like there was it wasn't Secret Service, it was actually like a North Korean leader, someone who was like
on the totem pole.
Yeah, somewhere. He was wearing like one of his like North Korean pin, and he was like really well dressed. This guy was like somebody, and he was going to the 20th floor, which is where Kim was. That was top floor. And I tried to kind of smile at him. They kind of weren't really doing much, but then like at the end, like I was like, "Hey, have a good night," and he said, "Have a good night," like in perfect English. And I was like, "Oh, North Korea just told me to have a good night."
Community is everywhere,
right?
If you can't tell from just that story in itself, I mean, there is space for community to thrive in anywhere you go. And so, just to start off this topic, the amazing story, by the way.
Thanks.
But to start off this topic, I want to talk about what do you guys feel we can do in our town to promote more community? Because we're all from Tacoma. We all went to the same high school, in fact.
Yeah.
So what do you guys feel is like maybe something simple an individual can do to build better community? What do you think, Apple?
Well, I think like my perspective definitely would come from like parenting wise.
Okay.
Like when I think of community, I think that like strong families build strong communities.
For sure. I agree as well.
Yeah, so I just feel like if you're a parent, then the number one thing you could do to build community is build strong kids and build kids that are loved and raise kids that are loved.
Okay.
And they're sure of themselves. And that way they go out into the community and they contribute,
Gotcha. Because sadly, I mean, there's been this, it's been a trend of these, you see all these school shootings and people are trying to figure out why, and I feel a lot of it, granted, I'm not a parent, but I would think that making sure that your kid feels loved and appreciated could help to, solve a lot of these problems that are going on with kids not feeling that they're being heard.
Yeah.
And they feel isolated. And so they're being bullied at school, and they're not necessarily getting attention from home, and then crazy stuff happens.
No, I mean, you see like the headlines, like they talk about like how the shooter is just like this mentally unstable person, or they've been bullied, they've been crying out for help. Like the list goes on. And like, so I mean, it's not that it's understandable, but like you can see if somebody's that low, like you just...
Things have reactions.
Yeah, for sure.
And that could be a direct result of that, So, I mean, like, your everyday person, do they feel as if... Because I sometimes you talk about family, and sometimes I attribute community with family as far as, like, the city is your family in a sense. You should be caring about people because you're unified by the town that you live in.
Yeah.
Do you think that your everyday Tacoma citizen feels as if Tacoma's a part of their crew, like a part of their family, that they can rely on the person next to them?
No.
And see, what do you think? Why is that?
I don't know if it's necessarily a community thing as much as like a humanity thing, right? Whereas like strangers, it doesn't matter if you're in your hometown or not. I don't know. I mean, I guess you're probably going for the vibe of like small town community, right? Like where everyone knows each other. Yeah. Whereas Tacoma is to the scale where...
Gotcha. That's impossible.
It's impossible to know everyone.
Gotcha.
So...
I guess, okay. Well, maybe like because we can all have like a sort of like a moral code that implements, having kindness.
Yeah.
Trying to get to know your neighbor, things like that.
Yeah.
What do you think are people's reservations behind not wanting to get to know their neighbor and link up in that sense, Just from my understanding, like whenever I meet someone new, it's very seldom sometimes something that's not positive. It's very seldom not something that like it hurts me, you know. It just always seems like a good thing. But I even find myself like I'll be at the market or something, and someone will like engage in a conversation. I'm trying to like hurry up the conversation, and I'm like, oh, I'm trying to get my groceries. Like, why can't I just take a step back and be like, okay, this person wants to talk with me. I want to talk with them. I want to learn about them. You know,
Right.
I think we all think we're so important, right? We're so busy. And we like need to be going somewhere that we don't have time necessarily, or we think we don't have time to go and engage, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's what you're saying. You're trying to hurry it up because
exactly.
you got stuff to do. You're trying to like, I don't even know what you're trying to go do, but is it really more important than like getting to know someone?
No, I don't think so. Welp. Next question. I'm playing now.
Sorry.
No, I just, yeah, I think that because I have the same thing where like I'll be trying to do something or get something done. I'm like, don't you see I got 4 kids right here? No, nobody's trying to talk to you right now.
Hey, ma'am, something. I saw you at that thing. You're like,
But here's the thing. Okay, so Eric's like obsessed with Canada. So we go to Vancouver every year.
okay.
And I have never met like nice people. Like literally they're like,
Everyone in Canada.
how are you? What is your story? And I just met you like 10 seconds ago. We're in an elevator. And I'm like, I don't have time for this. But then if I allow myself to give that time, I'm like, it's actually kind of nice.
It's therapeutic.
Yes, but it's like, oh, like you just learn about people and you just meet people. And it makes you feel like there's like good people out there, you know?
Have you guys heard of this concept called the Seattle Freeze? You know
No.
what I'm talking about? Okay, it's an actual thing. If you, the people at home, you can Google this. It's this sort of concept where people move to Seattle when they want to move to Seattle. They come here, and they have a hard time making friends. I guess it's like the atmosphere here. They'll go out, meet new people, exchange numbers, never hear from the person again. Just that's it. And it's an actual problem. I don't know why that's here so much, but I don't know it's an actual thing. I don't know how we go about being like that. So cold.
It's a cold world.
It is a cold world. But I don't know. I don't know if since you guys haven't heard from it, maybe you can't expound on it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It just kind of depends on the person, I think.
Yeah.
Like what you're going through or why you're like that. But I feel like a lot of it is like, it's most of society is like that I know of.
Okay, so as far as points that we got for things that we can do to help our community, what do we got? Taking time out of your day to maybe meet someone new. That's one. What else do you guys think?
We were talking about family earlier. Yeah, it starts at home.
Family, number 2. It's very good, number 2. That's number 1. That's number 1.
Yeah, man, because
insane.
your childhood trauma can affect you for the rest of your life.
That is true.
Until you could be a 30-year-old still dealing with your 10-year-old trauma.
Ooh,
Okay?
10-year-old inside, 30 years of age.
Yes, literally.
Yeah.
So until you come to that place of healing, then that's why I'm like, dude, family is so important. Like, it's the root of community, and it's the root of, I think, like, happy society, I guess.
But I mean, there's people who don't have family, right?
Right,
We need to embrace them, right? Bring them on in.
Yes. I'm just saying, like, first invest. Like, that's my first ministry. But then, like, I don't care just about my kids. Like, me and Eric care about a whole bunch of kids in Tacoma.
Gotcha.
And so we do those things on Friday night. I mean, it's on pause right now.
Talk a little bit about that. What's
so on Friday nights, we called it Kids Night. And our church is right next to a Salvation Army. And so we basically go over there and invite all these kids. And they just come over to our church. And we have worship. We have fun. We have games.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. So and these kids, like, come over with these crazy stories, man, about what their life is like. And you would never
It's crazy.
imagine, you know. But we think that all kids deserve that type of love. And so that's why we reach out to them.
I don't think of anything. I don't think there's anything more beautiful than that. You know, taking the time out to serve your community. That's another thing. Service. I think service is a big thing. I got something in my eye. I don't know what it is. It's making my eye water. It's very hot in here as well. But yes, I think that's great. That's great. Maybe if more people did things like that, maybe we would have a stronger community.
If we treat our community like it is family.
Wow, that's another moment. Okay, so I want to bring us to the next level in my discussion, and that is our country. Recently, there's been a lot of divide politically, also just like with the methods of how people think we should progress as a nation. How do we unite in such a polarizing time period in our country, what are some of the basic framework to keep people united? You have a lot of times people on the right wing can't get along with people on the left wing, and you see all these Facebook battles. People are
I know, it's crazy.
just doing like online Street Fighter. What do we do? Yeah, Ki, like come on, bro.
I don't even go on Facebook anymore because
Right.
of that.
It's crazy. It's
Man.
toxic.
Yeah.
As soon as I see it, I'm like,
Yeah, like you can be friends with someone you've been friends with on Facebook for years. You get in one debate, everyone's getting deleted.
yeah. I'm like, holy cow.
Yeah.
But if you have these same conversations in person, guarantee, I don't think it would go that far.
No, because people get
Because-
bold online.
Yeah. Well, they see it as like a shelter, right? Like, yeah.
See, and that's the thing, dude, it's crazy. The respect factor is so much greater in person.
That's what I'm saying. And you get to read their emotions. You get to
Yeah.
read their face. And maybe if they're even saying something you don't agree with, if they say it in love, then you might have like, okay.
Yeah, like, okay, I got you. I feel
Yeah,
you.
like
Okay.
I don't agree with you, but like we can agree to disagree and we can be okay. But online, you can be whoever you want to
Ruthless,
be.
Yeah, mask it.
And never be held accountable, and never like it's to me it's like unreal kind of like
No,
Yeah.
it is.
it's like what this is people are literally fighting on it's yeah
I don't know. I don't know. I feel as if one great thing we can do in order to sort of minimize the pain and the quarreling would just be like you said, seeing the human side of people, right? If we understand that the people online are actual human beings with feelings
Yes.
that can, when they take something away from this discussion, it could be negative or positive.
Yeah.
And sort of relaying that in whatever discussion you're in or argument, understanding that, don't be a bystander. If you see, people arguing about a subject and you have the time to be able to interject and maybe be like, hey, well, have you guys just like chill out or something? be that peacemaker, please. Why not? Okay, say you do it and then they come at you sideways. All right, at least you tried, right? And you have the meme with Michael Jackson eating the popcorn, bro. Don't post that.
I just came for the comments.
Yeah, I just came for the comments. Like, bro, come on. Like, we should be working to neutralize situations as much as possible because, I feel like that's our job. As citizens of the U.S., if we're trying to look towards a more united country, let's work on unification.
It's true.
What do you think, Alex?
I think a lot of the rhetoric has become of like us versus them, and I think that becomes like very divisive, right? Like you were saying, like left and right wing, or like matters of racism, matters of like police, like matters of like anything. There's always like two camps, and no one will give any concessions to either side. It's always us versus them.
Gotcha.
We're all humans. We're all people, right? We all have like the same sort of fears and aspirations and just everything, right? Like they're not that different. And I feel like we put up these divides politically or otherwise, and then it's hard to like find common ground because we've got our walls up.
Gotcha. That's so true. I'm thinking like if you have the word human and you put all the attributes down below that are, things that everyone sort of has, you'd find so many commonalities. And if we can base our relationships with people that we don't know on the basis of being human, maybe we can have more solidarity. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jinx.
Yeah. We got it. See, we're in agreement. Look at that. So okay. To the third part of our discussion, and I feel like as if you can expound a lot on this, Alex. How do we build? It's huge. It's in some regards it's daunting, but how do we go about as an individual creating a more global community?
So kind of what I was building to in that last statement was the us versus them, and that we're not that different is literally that's my take on the global scale. I think that, there's so much nationalism, there's so much fear and uncertainty over like other parts of the world where like, don't go there.
Yeah.
Those people are bad.
Yeah, exactly.
Those people are bad. Do not go there.
Yeah.
And that's just not the case.
I hear that all the time.
No,
Yeah.
I've met people
Yeah,
all over
yeah.
the world that are like the kindest people you ever meet in countries that people say not to go to. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
right? Like there's just so much love, and like I said, we're not that different. There's
Yeah.
so much love and beauty in the world, and it just like I feel like the media, for one thing, paints a picture of fear.
Gotcha.
Of the rest of the world is bad. America is
I'd
good.
agree.
The USA is good.
Yeah.
Everywhere else is bad.
What is
That's systematic.
It is systematic. It absolutely
it's an
is.
education.
what does that do for, like, is the media is purporting other nations like this? What is that, just for ratings? Why being so divisive? What is that doing?
I think it makes us feel like they're inferior or something, or to be fearful, like Alex was saying.
Gotcha. From my understanding, with someone new or someone that you don't know, you either do two things: either you see them as inferior and therefore you're fearful of them, right? Or you see them and you don't want anything, or you see them and you're intrigued and you're like, okay, who is this person? I want to get to know them because they're different, right? Yeah. And sadly, it's
Option three
yeah.
could be exploitation as well. It could be economic based, right? The us versus them, like inferiority, such as, third world nations and taking advantage of like labor practices there. Like it could be like, don't go to these places, they're scary, but yet we're going to outsource our business there.
Yeah.
Wow. That's so true.
I think that is a part of the systematic part, is that the USA is so much better than everyone else that we can then take advantage of these other people.
What road the end of that road, what does that look like? People just, their heads get so much bigger, just explode. No, but like what like, if we keep on continuing down the road of thinking we're so much better than another person, I'm not even talking about the country, just an individual. If you think you're so much better than another person just because of who you are or where you come from, you'll end up alone. You'll end up lonely.
Yeah.
And I think that in some regard, possibly if countries keep on, boosting themselves up and lowering other people down, they'll end up ostracizing themselves. And then you get what you see a lot in the media. You get these other nations that are seeing that, and people within those nations are getting angry. Yep. Like, oh, we're getting deprived of this, this, and this. They think they're better, and then you get, sadly, wars and people, going ham.
Not beef.
Yeah. So I feel like that's what's up?
Oh, I was just going to get back to like what you had, like your initial question was, how do we attack that issue, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's being the beacon of positivity, right? Like I've met so many amazing people out there, and many of them told me like, you were the coolest American I've ever met. Like because a lot of like even American tourists, not travelers, but tourists typically are rude and they think less of, specifically in Asia. I'm thinking like Thailand, Indonesia, like specifically Bali in Indonesia, like places like that where people go to vacation.
Yeah.
They treat the indigenous people like garbage. Like they have no respect.
I don't understand this methodology. When you're going to a nation, right, for vacation, I feel as part of the experience should be getting to know someone who lives there. If you can, like if you're on business, I understand. But if you're going there and you're with the population that lives there, why wouldn't you want to get to know someone else? Like you're there on the beach, that's cool, and you're eating really different food. That's cool too. But you're gonna do that and bounce. You didn't really go to the country.
No.
Right.
You didn't really embed yourself in a new culture. Like I don't see the appeal really without doing something like that.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, okay, we're all agreeing on that.
We all would agree.
Yeah.
I mean,
And another thing. Okay, so I think another thing that could solve or work towards solving sort of this polarization when you're going to a new place, education and exposure. E&E. I think we need a little bit more E&E. So educating yourself on the culture, whether you're about to go or you're already there, reading up about wherever you're going, about the people, the language, history, and then when you get there, exposing yourself to it as well. Don't stay shut up in the hotel, if you can. And I know that's a really difficult thing for a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people are introverted. They don't want to do that. They're actually going to get a release from their work, and they're having time off to actually go out and just chill out. And that's cool too. But the stakes are high. Like, I'm joking, but really, like, I think about myself, right? So, say I go, okay, so I went to Netherlands and visited a friend in Uden, right? And when I was there, I met people that had never met an African American before, right? So I'm thinking of what they would think of who I am. Any of that is directly correlated with the media. Whatever they saw in the media, whatever movies, that's who they think. Maybe they don't think that's who I am, but that's their only depiction of who I am. When I go somewhere new, I'm representing myself, right? Or who I am, what my outward appearance, I represent an African American. Wouldn't that be something to go somewhere and engage with someone who has never met someone like me before and create an image of something positive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
That bridges a gap directly.
Yeah.
And so when you're like you said, like someone, when you visited different nations, they said, like, you're the coolest American I've ever met.
Yeah.
We are building ourselves to create a positive world just by engaging with people positively. If you have the power to do that, why not do it? You're being an ambassador of humanity, an ambassador of your culture. If you're sharing with someone else, it's just bridging the gap.
100%.
I can't expound on how important that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just went on a rant there. Any last thoughts you guys have that you want to, shout outs or anything that you want to say about the topic that you want to relay to the people at home?
It's all you.
Yeah, come on, Apple.
I just think what you said about like going to different countries and being an ambassador for everything that you represent is really important too. And to fight back what people see like in the media and on TV. And like my MSL program that we did this summer, we did like a week-long training first. And something, I can't remember the term, but basically like what you see on like we talked about like Africa, like how all of the stuff you see on like TV is like poor, sick, war.
Yeah.
So you think of it like this poor place. Like even like parents say, "You better eat this." There's starving kids in Africa.
China and Africa.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So like I feel like maybe not just in America, but at least for sure here, we get a certain image of what Africa is, and you don't understand the rich history. You don't understand what was stolen.
Yeah, and that there's cities there and metropolitan areas.
Yeah.
It's
that's what and literally like it's like. It's the same.
Yeah.
Like, it's not all like that. Sure, there's parts that are like that.
Poverty-stricken, of course.
Yes, but that's not a full representation. And so then you grow up even being an adult unless you do your own research and get educated.
Which most people don't.
Yes, most people don't. And so like what you said earlier, education and exposure, like that is so crucial in a lot of different ways. And so I just see that happening to like basically whatever you see in the media that can affect like what you think about people or a place. And it is up to us to like go and be positive.
Hey, that's what's up. That's tight.
Yeah.
You, Alex?
I guess my final thoughts, just to reiterate, we need to stop the us versus them, right? Because we're all humans, we're all the same. And I just think, again, education, exposure, like getting to understand other people and being exposed to other people, I think is key to realize that. Spot
on, man. I want to thank you guys both for coming on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's been amazing. So many good things said. I'm going to have to get both you guys back on another show sometime in the future. That was super good. Guys at home, share, like, respond, comment, do everything that you need to do in order to help us make the show better. I hope you guys tune in for the next show. I'm Kwabi signing off for Real Peace. Hope to see you next time.